right, it's JP Raw show number 225. And this is probably, unless something happens, Tim, this is probably our last show for 2018.
Yep. I think so.
There will be one more photo review show on the 30th, Sunday the 30th. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. One more photo review show that AD and I would do, but I believe this is going to be our last JP Raw show of 2018. So,
Sorry.
You need some water there, Tim?
Yeah, I just drank it. That was my problem. Wrong pipe.
So tonight we're going to tonight we're just going to go over a few things, a few gift ideas. Some you may have heard me mention in the past. A lot of these I already own, so I might have talked about them in the past, but we're going to put them into one show and just talk about a few things and maybe talk about the new year, what we're going to do there. One thing, Tim, and I see it behind you, your Loupedeck.
Mm-hmm.
So have you got to use that yet?
I actually used it this week, really, for the first time.
Can you bring it up to the camera?
Yep.
Let's see. Do I have a shot that has just 10 minutes? Yeah, okay, that'd be good enough. Yeah. So that right there that's good.
Okay. Figured it was better than my face.
That is, and that from the size standpoint, that looks to be about the size of a keyboard.
Yeah, it's
depending on your keyboard.
Yeah, it's mine here. Yeah, probably about exactly the same size.
Yeah, depending on your keyboard. So, what program is it? Do you use it with? Lightroom?
I use it with Lightroom.
And all those buttons and everything are designed to work with Lightroom.
Exactly. And I started watching a couple of videos as well that were on YouTube. They actually started posting videos for the workflow with it. And I got to say, I liked it. It was quicker. It has just about every function that I normally use in there. But I want to watch a couple more of the videos to really get a better understanding of it as to what else I can do with it, because it's actually very powerful. I was surprised at how good it is. And then I just realized this week they started I knew they were adding more programs to it. I don't know how well it's going to work with some of the other ones because it's really, if you look at a lot of the keys, it's straight programmed for Lightroom, all what's written on here. So I don't know if it's going to be I know it can be custom mapped, but will it be custom mapped? But then I'm hoping like a lot of the things that say on here make sense in different programs.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, because what you were talking about, what else they've done is they just recently added support for
Photoshop.
Photoshop. Yeah, they just added Photoshop support. So, and if those buttons are already designed, for Lightroom, yeah, I don't know how some of them will carry over, but I think in Lightroom, Photoshop, there are some of these same functions
right.
There, especially in the raw
developer.
developer.
A lot of generic. You have copy paste, which can be copy paste for everything else. You have shift control. You have the Mac button on here, Alt tab. You have C1, C2, hue, saturation, luminosity, before after screen mode export, black and white. Then the dials down the center are contrast, clarity, shadows, highlights, exposure, blacks, whites, vibrance, and saturation. So really, I guess a lot of that is done in all the programs, whether it's Capture One, Photoshop, Luminar. Thank you. I almost said Luminosity. Luminar, because I think they were bringing it to Luminar as well. There's a bunch of programs they were starting to get it to work with. Now, I don't know how well it is selling. Other than myself, I don't know anybody else that owns one. But I so far, when I used it this past weekend, after I was at a Christmas party, I used it to edit all the pictures, and I went through it pretty quickly. And using the dials is so much easier than using the mouse on the screen.
And how much? What was that? Like $199? You got the Loupedeck Plus, right?
I got the Loupedeck Plus.
Yeah.
I think I paid around the $200 mark at the time.
Yeah. So if you've never used one of these type of things before, you may be thinking, how much better can it be than my keyboard and my mouse? Or if you use a Wacom tablet, that too. I don't have yours. I watched some videos on it too, and it made me want to get one. I do have this little guy, which is the Elgato Stream Deck, and it's a little different than what yours is in that every key is programmable to be really a hotkey.
Right.
So when I go into I can't press one of these buttons that'll actually launch the program, and then my computer will be all messed up. But I have all the little icons, and if I press the Lightroom or if I go into Lightroom, all the keys are designed to do what I wanted to do in Lightroom. So much a little different than what you have, much less geared toward Lightroom and fewer options, although I can have multiple screens. So it seems like yours would be even more powerful. But even with that, with my little thing there, I will tell you that that it has made my editing, not only in Lightroom, but also in Adobe Premiere and in Adobe Audition, which is the audio one. So the video and the audio ones, Premiere and Audition. Has made my editing so much easier in there. I will often have my mouse on one hand that I'm doing, and this I'm over here on this one, and I've put them where I want them on my fingers, and I can go through, the noise capture, the noise elimination and Audition really fast. I can do the cut and all that really fast. In Premiere, I can do that stuff, and in Lightroom, I forget which one I have, but I have one button that pops up the grid. I want to see a grid, on there and get rid of a grid. I have it where I can go back and forth between things. It makes editing much faster having all those hotkeys just right there ready.
Yeah, and it's showing that it works with Lightroom, Premiere, Capture One, Aurora HDR, and Photoshop. So and they, when it came out, it was just specifically meant for Lightroom. So they're definitely increasing it, which tells me that it must be selling. Otherwise, they wouldn't be supporting it like this either. Or they're trying to increase our audience.
So this one I got on sale for like $99. It generally runs $149, and I think if you're getting it mainly for editing, photo editing, then I would probably get the Stream Deck. It's not that much more expensive. If you're going to use it for a multitude of programs, you may want to look at this guy. I would try and find it for $99 like I did, and see if you can get it on sale. And then you can use it for a lot of things. I think there's also a lot of gamers. I don't know how many gamers watch our show, but there's a lot of gamers who use this thing too.
Okay.
For different stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I bought it at Amazon or B&H, and it was probably B&H when I bought it.
Yep.
And I'm just looking to see how much it is now there.
That wasn't one of my actual ideas for a gift idea, but now that we've talked about it, it's not something I'm going to buy just yet, because I have something else I'm buying this year for me. So before we go into my list, my gift ideas for other people, what any photography related stuff you plan to get for yourself, or want somebody to buy you this?
No, this was a quiet year for me. Actually, it was a very quiet year overall for photography. My wife actually made the comment the other day that why don't you take your camera out anymore? So I've really, when I'm doing all the work down in my basement, I really put off. I didn't take one picture of soccer this year, not one picture, and the season's long over. So I didn't even think to ask for anything. Even though if I wanted something, one of the things you have on your list, I really liked. So when you get to it, I know we talked about it previously. So we'll get to that in the mid-priced area.
Okay. Well, so like I was talking about, the stuff I have on my list are things I already own. I can talk about them if I wanted, if I want to go into depth in any of these guys. But what I don't have, and what I've put on my list, and either my wife will buy it for me, or if she misses and doesn't buy it for me, I'm going to buy it myself. Something I've been wanting for a while is as I get into more landscape photography, I'm going to move over to a filter system.
Okay.
If you have any filters, ND filters or ND grad filters or polarizers or anything like that. If you're like me, what you've done in the past is you've bought multiples for different size lenses, and it's the little circle ones you screw onto the front of the lens. I'm going to go away from that and buy a filter system where you do have to buy an adapter. So you buy the adapter that fits to the size of your lens that you're going to be using. And you can buy multiple adapters, but then from the adapter, you then go to
is that a square filter on there that you just slide in?
If they have a photo here that kind of shows you. I thought they had something that kind of shows you the different phases. But basically, you put it onto your camera systems. Let's see if we can go here. Put the thing on not your camera, but on the lens. What the heck? Every time I move my mouse down, it wants to go away. Stay. All right. Well, we're not going to be able to do that because of stupid website. You buy the filter that goes on there, and then you have a bracket that goes onto that adapter, and then JNA says like Tom Heaton has, and I think that's where him and somebody else is where I've got the bug to buy it. The adapter then holds the filter, and it's a square filter, and it's bigger, so it will fit. Cover the entire lens. You don't have to worry about getting one for each lens. All you need is that little adapter for each lens. And then you can actually, depending on how you get this, you can stack them. So if you buy a 4-stop filter, you can actually put another filter in front of it.
I'm actually looking at the filter holder here. It looks like it holds up to maybe 4 would slide down that same track.
Yeah. Where were you going to see it?
I clicked on systems, and then went down to more info.
Well, it doesn't appear to. I tricked it.
You got to click on systems like twice, and then it works.
No. Well, I'm on more info already. There you go. So you can see it now. The adapter ring.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
The adapter ring, then the filter holder.
Yeah. Filter holder looks like you can hold several of them in there. And that's actually a really good idea. And I've seen it years ago. They had stuff like this, and it was probably when you had those really large lenses, they would have it, or it would fit in the back of the lens somewhere. They had some of the long filters where it would fit in there. So it was something weird.
Now, the actual thing, the two pieces we're looking at here are just 3, but the 2 main ones there, the adapter ring and the filter holder, they're both sub $100. They're like $50, $60, $80, somewhere in that range each. So not crazy expensive compared to the filters you bought in the past, but that's without the filter.
Right.
The filters is where you're going to spend the money, and you can buy them out over time. So if you're looking at just an Indie Grad set, now this is where it's going to get a little more expensive. Let's go over to this. If you're looking at an Indie Grad set, actually, this is not even a set. This is a 4-stop filter for $237. This one though, you are getting 3 Indie Grads. The other one's just an ND. This is Indie Grad, and it's going to run about $283. So that's a little expensive, but as you can build this up over time and get more of these, and you'll end up putting over $1,000 in the filters. But you can decide, you've only spent a few hundred, and you can decide whether you want to keep going.
Well, what I like about this also is you can change where in the horizon for the graduated filter, you can change where in the horizon you want that graduation, because you can slide it up and down, I would assume.
Yes.
It's probably bigger so that you can go near the top, near the bottom. You could probably swivel it sideways if you want to have it at an angle. It gives you a lot of creative ideas as to what to do as well, based on what your horizon is and how you're taking your picture.
Right. So you can see in this one, there's that grad is softer and harder on these guys. You can get a hard grad where it's really a hard line or a softer line, and then I think these are different grads too, or NDs. You can, and like you said, you can slide up and down. You can turn the thing sideways, and some of these things you go, well, why can't you just do that in Photoshop or Lightroom later on? Some of it you can, but there's some things you can't.
You can't do some of it, right.
Or you can't repeat very well without it. So I want to give it a try. I'm going to step in as cheaply as I can. Spending almost $300 on a filter is not cheap. But before I go any bigger than that, I want to see, one, am I going to use it? And 2, do I like it? But that's where I'm going to go for me personally for this Christmas.
No, I do like that idea. So yeah, let me know how this works, because I remember when I had film, I had those filter kits, and I had probably, my God, 30 different filters that I had picked up probably on eBay at the time, or B&H, and all sorts of different ones. I rarely use any filters now, rarely. And right, the ones you need are probably neutral density, because you don't need what was it, the 81Bs
Yeah.
or the fluorescent filters. You do that all with changing your settings in the camera.
For
But
me, what I think I need is a grad, just a straight up ND,
right,
and probably several different strengths of ND, and
right,
then a polarizer, circular, kind of
right.
polarizer.
Yeah, because a lot of those other things, even like the starburst, you can do that in post now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now you mentioned, before we get into the rest of the list, you mentioned you hadn't shot that much this year.
Correct.
Neither have I.
Okay.
I have not shot nearly as much as I should have.
It's a good thing we do this podcast.
It is. Well, this podcast is partially to blame for that. And I would tell you that if you look in our regulars group on Facebook, there's a lot of great photographers in both of the groups, actually, the beginners and the regulars group. The beginners group we got a few people who post on a regular basis, but I think the rest of the group is either out and doing life, or they are intimidated, don't want to post, or whatever. So I got an idea to maybe bring some of them out of the shadows, help them, help me, and get a few more. It's not a unique idea, so don't think I'm about to throw something out there like, holy crap, that's new idea. But no, this is an idea that's been done thousands of times, so it's nothing new. But I think in the group, what I'm going to do, Tim, and are you a member of the beginners group?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, we're going to try this in beginners group.
Do I go there? That's another story.
No, and we're going to try this in beginners group, and then we'll see if this is something that catches on, whether we should ever do it in the regulars group. But we're going to do a Project 52 in the group.
Okay. Oh,
and rather than a 365, which is too much
daunting.
Is daunting for almost everybody, and I don't want to have to manage that. 52 weeks is going to be bad enough. But we're going to do a Project 52 in the beginners group, and I think I may do it using Facebook events.
Okay.
And use that as we'll post them in the events and have that do it. And I can set them up. And if you come in at week 12, you can go back to week 1 and post in that thing. And you don't have to necessarily say, crap, you're already 12 weeks into it, I'm not going to do it. You can come back and catch up.
You lose somebody.
Yeah. So we're going to give that a try and see how that works, and see if we can get some more people posting. And you can use, if you're doing that every week or however often you can use some of those photos to maybe enter some of the monthly contest. So this is going to be separate from the monthly contest, and there's not going to be a contest with this. This is just take photos
for taking photos,
just for the purpose of taking photos and getting out there and doing that. But if you have something that you like and you want to submit it to the contest, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kick that off at the beginning of January, and I'm going to try and set up multiple ones in advance so that you can see what's coming.
Okay.
All right. So be looking
So you can plan your schedule.
Yeah, be looking for that, and hopefully you'll come out and join us and encourage me to do it too. And you know what? Maybe one of the first ones.
Maybe for me.
You know what? Maybe one of the first ones we might do, Tim.
What?
And if you don't want to participate, you don't have to participate. So you can skip weeks if you want to. It's just part of getting better with photography is taking more photos, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do that. But one of the first topics may be a self-portrait.
Oh.
What I think would be interesting is do a self-portrait early on. It doesn't have to be full body, full face, whatever you did. I think Millen one time did one of just like one side of his face with just the eye. So whatever you want to do there, it can be a silhouette. It could be whatever, or you can just skip that week if you don't like it. But I'm thinking maybe doing one at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll lose weight. I'm doing the beginning and the end.
Well, not the way I've been going recently. You can see how much fatter I got.
This is a bad time of year to be on a diet.
Yeah.
But Jan says sounds good. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, I don't know how we would do this. Right now, I'm just planning to do it inside the beginners Facebook group to try and encourage them to post more and get out there and do more. The only way you get better as a beginner or anybody is to shoot more.
Well, that's absolutely true.
Yep. All right, let's jump into some of the gift ideas. We're going to start with some cheap, some low priced. We'll call them low priced. Some of my low priced ideas, ones you've probably heard me talk about before, and ones I own actually. And the one we'll start off with is this little guy. Is the Gitzo. Let's move over to his. I got a little shopping list here on Amazon, so we can see the price, see it up a little bit more. It's the not Gitzo. I said Gitzo.
Gitos.
Blower.
Rocket Air Blaster.
It's like under $10.
And I picked that up this past year because I didn't like mine, and I like this one so much better.
Yep, I've probably talked about this before. It's great for blowing, loose dust off your camera, your lens, even your sensor. If you hold the camera upside down and blow in there to do some of that stuff, great little guy for cheap price. It even if fitting in your bag, it'll squish down some if you need it to. I always have this in my bag because you never know when you're going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, along those same lines of cleaning, the next guy is come on down here. Skipping one.
Lens pen.
We'll come back to that. Is the lens pen. This a little bit. This is a different brand than what I have, but
That's the brand I have.
They're all kind of the same. You got the little brush that pushes out. That pushes out like that. You have the little smudge thing on the other side, if you can see that. These guys are even cheaper than the other one. This one's under $9 over at Amazon. This is super easy. It's just like a fat pen that you can keep in your camera bag, and I use this. Probably use this even more than the other guy.
Now, the one I think I wound up having, it's called the Lens Pen Pro Pack, which gives you 3 different pens. One is a filter one, one's lens, and one is a micro one that does your viewfinder for $14.99. So it's not much more, and it gives it a little storage pouch. I don't know if you saw that one, but just take a look at that. It's called Lens Pen Pro Pack, and that's the one I prefer. Then, and I actually like the fact that it came with the little storage case, the one on the top left.
So about $15, and it came with 3 pens.
Yeah. So one is that little one, the purple one. It's got a very little scrubber on the end, which cleans your viewfinder out.
Okay.
Oh, so I like this one, and it's not much more, and it gives that little storage case as well.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do?
I don't know. It looks like it comes with all that other stuff too, which I didn't know.
I'm going to add that to the list.
Plus a 6-piece cleaning kit. I don't know if I probably.
I don't like that blower though. I'm going to stick with my blower.
I agree, but the pens itself, that's what I've been using for a couple of years, and you got that little storage pouch. It's got little individual pockets for each pen in there.
Yep. Very good. So that one is yours is like $15 if you want to get that. You do get more with it than the one I had. But it's good to have something like that, and it's easy to carry in your bag. The next thing up that I have is this guy and I think this is the exact one. Yeah, so it tells me when I bought it. It's a little it's a little holder. I have the one that does 3 XQDs and 4 micro SDs. And the way I use it, it keeps them in one place. It is water sealed. I don't know how often you're getting water in these things anyway. So, but all right. So if it's out in the rain, whatever.
They're pretty resilient anyway.
They're very rugged. I mean, it's a hard plastic.
No, I mean even the cards are.
Oh, the cards are.
They got wet, it wouldn't be a problem.
But what I do is whenever let's say that I'm shooting with this card, and I fill it up, I put it in backwards. Put it in backwards.
Yeah, so do I. And so then, I know that's the used one.
Yeah, then you can see which one's used and which one's not. And then, a lot of camera bags have a place for you to put your cards, whatever. But this way, I can just take this and toss it in the bag, and I don't worry about it. The cards you said, they are pretty resilient, but this is fairly cheap. This is right at $12, so not that expensive either. And a good addition to your bag. All right. What's up next on the low price thing? Oh, this is, do I have that on the list? Yeah. So this is going to be different based upon which camera you have. I don't have this exact one. Where's mine? I have this is an old one. This is the Nikon MC20, but a remote shutter release. And I like the ones, this one actually has some kind of radio frequency with it too. I just plug mine into the little, whatever, 8-prong or whatever that thing is. I'm not going to count them, but however many prongs, you plug it into your camera, and then you have the remote here. This is if you're going to be taking, if you're hooked up on a tripod and you're taking exposures that are going to be multi-seconds or even just, slow, when you push the button on the shutter, you're introducing shake. Now you can have a delay on there, let's say a 2-second delay,
2-second delay,
something like that. That should take most of the shake out, and that'll get by. But these guys,
but you might miss the shot that you want also.
Yeah, these guys are small, and you can sit there and you can just press this. I believe also you can use this to hold the shutter open for longer periods of time than the bulb mode or on the 30 seconds. And they're fairly cheap. You need to look at the one that will work with your version of the whatever camera you have. So this one here, unless you have one of those cameras they have listed, which is Nikon's, it won't work. But there's plenty of models out there, and they're generally going to be under $50. For me, I don't need something super fancy. This guy still works. The little battery in this thing has been there for, God, a decade or more, and still works.
And the one you're showing, I don't know if it does it, but it probably does based on what I'm looking at. And I know the one I bought, and it was probably around that $30 price mark, had an intervalometer in it, which I thought was great. So I had, when I was building the deck for my pool, I had my camera mounted on a tripod, and it would take a picture like every 7-8 minutes as I was building it. Or when I built a shed in my backyard. And you look back on it, it's probably a little hokey and everything, but I actually enjoyed it, and looking back on it, because in 10 years from now, it'd be like, oh, that's how it happened.
So
that's what I felt.
You did a time lapse.
Yeah, time lapse. And they call it intervalometer,
Right.
but it's a time lapse, which is, it's great having that.
Yeah.
Because your camera doesn't have it built in it. And I remember years ago, Sony, or it was actually Minolta, one of my first cameras, they had a little card that was like a little program card where you could stick in the card, and it had a sports mode for it. You change it, and it was a portraits. And then there was another one that it had time lapse.
Yeah.
And you had to pay for each of those.
You sure that I thought my camera did have that built
Your
in.
camera might have it. Not every camera has it.
Drew out on Facebook says, Merry Christmas and New Year, guys. Hope to catch more shows in 2019. Yep. And
So do we.
Yes. Tim and I's work schedule has gotten in the way of a number of shows. And so hopefully that'll get better in 2019, but we're also going to bring guests on. So if you're Jan and you've been watching us in the last year or so, we haven't had too many guests on at all. We're going to get back into a mix of guest and non-guest as we go forward. All right, so that was a remote shutter that can be very handy. I love mine. I don't always bring it with me. Obviously, if I'm going to go shoot sports, there's no need to bring it with me. But if I'm going to be going out and doing any kind of landscape, or if I'm going out to do wildlife, I might bring it with me just in case I mix up some landscape in there. Not generally going to use it for wildlife, though. But there are use cases. And at that price, it's a reasonable price. All right, next one up is one AD gave me. And again, I'm going to show you the Nikon one. AD gave me the idea for this. And this is, in this case, let's see if I can put it up to the camera. It is a, that's the camera. Nikon DK17C. For me. So you got to get whatever one works for you. And it is goes into the camera.
Oh, that's right, yes.
It goes into the camera viewfinder. And you have a diopter on there that can change the strength to make the image you're seeing clear when you're wearing eyeglasses or not wearing eyeglasses. You can change that to make it stronger or weaker. Well, in my case, even at the max setting, it wasn't enough where I still needed to wear my glasses. So I got one, which I think is the -3 is what I'm using. I believe so. And with that, at the max setting, I can now actually shoot without having to wear my glasses. And that
which is nice.
that, yes, I love that. I love having, not being able to have to wear my glasses. I wear the little strap around my glasses at that time, and then I can just kind of hang them down on my chest and, you know, shoot without having to wear glasses. I can't put the glasses back on and then turn the diopter to another thing. And so having that thing on there is super easy to put on. I think I demoed it early on. Having that on there, I can wear my glasses, not wear my glasses. I do have to change the diopter setting, but I don't have to take that off to wear my glasses and put it back on to not wear my glasses.
Right.
Just having it on. It is what, $18? So look for the one that works with your camera. This Nikon one won't necessarily work with all Nikons. It has to have the circle viewfinder. There are some viewfinders that have a
Square.
It's not really square. It's some kind of odd shape. But you'd have to get that one for that one. Or if you use a Canon, a Sony, or Nikon, Olympus, or Fuji, you have to get theirs.
Now, I do have one question about that.
Yeah.
What happens when somebody else wants to use your camera then to take a picture? Says, you know what, let me take a picture with you in it. Obviously they can't use it because it would impact them. Is it easy to take off, or do they just look at the back of the camera?
Well, if you take it off, you'd have to put something else on, so you can't just have it not there. And
somebody else can look through the viewfinder.
I'm not going to carry it along with me. But if you've changed the diopter to meet your eyes, if your eyes are dramatically different from the other person's eyes, they would have to change it anyway, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I've never actually asked another person. I guess if a person had perfect eyesight, if they change it all the way to the other direction, it still may not be enough. I don't know. I've never tried that. That's a good question. I don't lend my camera out very often, though.
Yeah, no, either do I. But every once in a while, like I was at a Christmas party this past weekend, and some people took pictures for me so I could actually be in the picture.
Yeah.
But that's about the rarity.
Yeah. Jan asks Dom Komarachka, I'm sure she's talking about as a guest. Funny thing is, I'm going to be on I think this is going to be my fourth time. I'm going to be a guest on Don Komarachka's show this Thursday. Cool. He has Photo Geeks Weekly, and I'm going to be a guest this Thursday on his show for the fourth time.
Wow.
So we talk every time I come on that we're going to have him come on in 2019. So definitely he's been doing some great projects with ultraviolet light. And he's going to come on and talk about that. I saw one of the pictures he took. I think it was a soap bubble, and he's just amazing. He's got some creative ideas. He is amazing, yes. And so I think we're going to have him come on and talk about ultraviolet light. All right, next one, and this is the last one in what I call the cheap category. All right, and that is the eye lead sensor thing. Come on, Link. The eye lead sensor cleaner, which I have right here. Right. It's going to be about $60, a little bit less. Get the one that works for your camera, because this one won't work for Sony's, right, Tim? The one that shows a green thing, but actually it's blue. The one I have is blue. Is the one I bought. Super easy. You take it out of this, and then you just dab your sensor. Follow the directions. And then that picks up the stuff on it that you couldn't get off by blowing. So it's something, if you want to know, do you have dirt on your sensor, dust on your sensor? If you've never cleaned it, more than likely you do. Go to a white wall or to a nice blue sky. Stop down your lens as much as it'll go, f22, something like that. Take a shot, come back into your photo editing software, and I bet you see little specks all over the place. And if you don't, there's even little settings you can do inside of your software to bring them out even further. Well, I think one of the really nice things that I think it was AD that told us, just take a picture of a white screen on your computer. Yeah. And then you're right there, so you don't have to go find that wall or anything. And it's bright enough that you could stop your lens down and get that picture. Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, one thing before you leave the cheap area, and I thought about this afterwards. If you use AA batteries or any batteries, I use this to store my batteries in. It's a little, I don't know if it's coming out clear. Yeah. So, and then it's got on there, it says on the top, charged, low on the bottom, charged low on the left, right. And when I look at my camera in my battery bag, I keep the terminal facing to upwards, so I know it's a charged case. After I use the batteries and I take them out of my flash, they will go in the opposite way, and it says low on the bottom, so I know those are the ones that need to be charged. Because otherwise you just have batteries all over the place,
And I picked these up from Amazon a couple of years ago, and I have a bunch of them to store all my rechargeable batteries. And that's obviously if you're using rechargeable batteries.
Yeah, for me, the batteries just lose charge just sitting there. So I always, before I go out, if I'm going to use the flash or something that uses the batteries,
Right.
I just charge them all. I have a bank that does 8 at a time, and I just charge them all before I go because I don't trust any of them. What brand are you using there for your battery?
Enolope, I think, if that's pronounced right. Yeah, Enolope. Enoloop.
I'm using the PowerX.
Okay.
Yeah, using the PowerX. I've heard those. I've heard good things about those.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with these. They hold a long time.
These are 2700, whatever that rating is. No, 2500 milliamps or whatever that MAH means.
Now, I don't know if your camera has it, but I picked up a couple of years ago on eBay an external battery pack for my
Nice.
my flash. It holds 6 AA batteries, and man, the flash charges up instantly every single time. I was so glad when I found this.
You probably have to be careful not to burn out the flash because you probably shoot so often.
I not that I burnt it out once, but I was taking pictures somewhere once, and it actually overheated and shut down the flash. I was like,
Oh,
wow,
that's good. That's good.
I was like, that I'd never had that happen to me before, and never again since.
So I've been pleased with these, but what I'm starting to, because I've recharged them so often, because I use them actually during this show, some of them have started to not hold the charge very well. So
Right, 'cause you get a maximum amount of recharges.
I think I'm going to try your brand the next set I have to buy.
Yeah, that was a Christmas wish list once, the batteries. You want to put something in my stocking, you can get me batteries because I use them. So
Yeah. All right. So that's the cheap one list. Let's move on to the next list, which is this
mid-priced.
Mid-priced, and we're going to call mid-priced about 100 to a little over 300.
Yep.
In the camera world, things get pretty expensive. So this is going to be what we call the mid-price range. So first up in the mid-price range for me, what I bought was the Wimberley Sidekick.
That's right. Yes, you talked about this.
And, I've talked about this. It goes, you stick it you take your ball head on your tripod, turn it sideways, stick it into there, and then you mount your lens right here. And once you have, adjusted the weight, whatever you call that, you've set that
center of gravity.
You set that center of gravity on there. Then it is smooth, and you can move it up and down, like this, so smooth. You can put it at an angle, and if you've done it right, it should hold right there. Any angle you put it at and you let go, it should hold right there. Some people set it up to where when they let go, it'll come back to center. And okay, if that's what you like, that's fine. I don't like that. I like to where if I put it up, because I'm shooting at a bird or something a little higher or a little lower, I want it to stay there. And that way, when I come back and shoot, I'm already right there in that. This really is for longer lenses, probably even longer than a 70 to 200. You could put whatever you want in there if it has a bracket on the lens. But I found I really only use it with my bigger lenses.
Right.
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And this is called the Sidekick. It is, if you're looking for a gimbal like this that's going to go on there, it is like the starting thing. You can get, this guy is what, $250, so it's not cheap, but it's about half the price of a full one. This one requires a ball head. The other ones that are a full gimbal or whatever it is doesn't require a ball head. It is itself the entire setup. And those things are going to run $450, $500, or even more. And I wanted to start with this and see how often I use it before I go all in. If you're going to have something like a 400 millimeter, 500 millimeter, 600 millimeter, you probably want to get the full gimbal.
Now, is that a machined aluminum?
I don't know, Tim. How would I know that?
Well, is it metal or is it it's not plastic?
No, it's not. It says anodized aluminum.
Okay.
Yeah. It's solid. It's not.
It doesn't look that heavy. Was it a couple of pounds, 3-4 pounds?
Yeah.
You think, or
I don't know if it's 3 or 4, maybe just a couple of pounds probably. It is pretty solid though. I've put my 200 to 500 Nikon on here, and it is It is solid.
Actually, it says 1.3 pounds. So that's actually really light.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is pretty solid. And once you tighten this down, I mean, it holds really well.
Okay, good.
All right. So that is that guy. I have to take some of these guys off of here. Next up, and actually, I did this list on the home gadgets. No, not home gadgets. What is the Average Guy podcast? Home Gadget Geeks last
Gadget
week.
Geeks, that's a new one, right?
Yeah, and one of the items I talked about, because I love this item, and someone has already bought it from that show, and that is for let's come back over here for $99. Is that what it is? $94, $95?
$95.
Yeah, $95. Where is it at on the list?
The fourth one down, the Surrey.
Yeah. So is this guy? I have it right here. It's the
P3 something.
P326. It is a monopod. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. 5 sections. It's so small, so I don't know if you can tell how small it is here. Here's my phone.
Yeah, it looks like about a foot and a half, maybe.
Phone. So you can. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
It depending on your bag, it may or may not fit into it. But then it opens up into like 6 foot. It can go taller than what I am. So it opens up pretty good. If you're outside and you're in, where you can put that into dirt, it has a little spike on the end. If you're inside shooting basketball or something like that, you can put it on there.
Out.
If you shoot with a monopod, this guy is super light. It fits into the you can carry it fairly easy. So much smaller than the aluminum one and lighter than the aluminum one I used to have. And it holds up my stuff pretty good. So if I'm shooting with a basketball or something like that with a 70-200, I'm probably going to use this. It makes it easier when you're shooting for an hour or 2 hours or whatever you're shooting. If I'm shooting swimming where I'm going to be getting down on the ground and I'm not going to use it. If I'm shooting soccer, I'm outside and maybe I'm shooting with a bigger lens than a 70-200, I'm going to be using a monopod. So I use, for what I do, I use a monopod a lot. And this is so much better than the aluminum one I used to have. And actually, it may even be cheaper than the one I used to have.
Yeah, I have two, and I got a carbon fiber one because I couldn't find my aluminum one. But I found the aluminum after that, and I've never gone back.
Oh, wait. So yours is aluminum? This one is carbon fiber.
No, I have both. I couldn't find my aluminum one, so I went up buying another one, but I got carbon fiber the second time.
Yeah.
And I'm very pleased with it. It's light and durable, very durable.
So if you looked back at that, I don't know if this is what Jan was talking about on there. I have this one. It doesn't have the tripod feet on it, but there are ones you can get that have little tripod feet on it that are over here on the right in this little section. That's going to be a little more expensive. It looks like it says it's $149, $150. I don't know if I'd do it over again, whether I get that or not. I wouldn't use it for my use case when I'm shooting sports. I wouldn't bring those.
I wouldn't use the feet, right? Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm using on the 7200 at a soccer game. I have it mounted to the lens, and so it's a little support to the camera.
Yeah, it makes. I tell you, while I can handhold a 7200 for a long time, it does make it so much easier to have it on a monopod. The weight is no longer an issue. Then if I can move to my Sigma 120 to 300, that one I can't handhold for very long. So putting it on a monopod makes it so I don't even worry about the weight. And same with the 200 to 500. And if you're shooting sports, most sports, or none of them I run into, would let you have a tripod out there.
Tripod, no.
Yeah.
Now, what I think I like also about using a monopod with those long lenses, I feel like the mount on the camera doesn't have the stress on it when you're because the weight is over the lens as opposed to pulling down on the mount. Even though the mount is probably strong enough anyway on most of our bodies, it's just, to me, it's a mind thing.
I don't like that either. I don't like putting so much stress on the mount.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up is not necessarily photo related, except maybe for your phone.
And this is the one that I think I want.
This one, I wish I had the video I can show you guys. But this is and there's I think this is still the latest version.
Well, they just came out one with just yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, the Osmo Pocket.
Yeah, the Pocket is
But
a
I
little
think
different
that's
than this.
expensive. All right, so what's it? All right, that's
The
I guess
Pocket
that's
has a
expensive.
camera built in.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want one. I'd rather have this. That's why it's for like $350.
Yeah, that has a camera built in. So this is the DJI Osmo 2. It's $119. So for what it does, it's just fantastic. What you do is you put your phone. Yeah, you can see me. You put your phone in a little bracket. When you do that, you got to balance it a little bit. So there's a little bit of setup there every time you put it in, so that it stays balanced. So the gimbal's not having to constantly fight it. And then you walk around with your phone in there. And I generally take the case off my phone before I do it. I think it fits in there flusher better without the case in there. And this is a fairly large phone. And then you walk around and it will act like a gimbal. So if you're walking, it won't completely take your walk out. So you can't just go crazy and walk and think I'm going to have a super smooth video.
It's not that good.
But it is dramatically better than just you hand holding it. And if you walk in a way to try and minimize the bounce up and down, it'll get even better. But in my case, when we were up in Alaska, there's a scene. This is the one I wish I could show you. Maybe sometime I will. I am hanging out the side of a train, and I'm holding on. So I'm hanging out the side of a train, and I'm taking this video as we pass by this gorge, and the train is rocking, and clickety clack and all that kind of stuff. So the audio is going to be bad because there's so much clickety clack. But the video, and I didn't realize this until I watched it later, the video was just super smooth going by. It was no shaking there at all. So this is more for video, if you're doing video with your phone. Now, two additions I'm going to say you should add to this is get some little feet. I got little bitty feet that screw into the bottom. And that allows me to then, set it up like that. And you can use it to do some time lapse. And some of the time lapse you can do it actually, you can have it turn and do that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, if you're hanging off the side of a train like I did, I got one where I can mount this strap to the bottom, and then you put your arm through the strap. And that way, if you accidentally drop the thing, and I never did, you would still hold on to it. It holds onto your phone really tight, so the phone shouldn't fall out, but at least you won't lose the phone and your gimbal. Tim, if you don't own this and you want to take video, it is just fantastic. And like even the moving, so like when you move like this, there's a setting where it will move slower, so more cinematic as it moves, rather than just a jerk back and forth.
You talked about this a couple of months ago, and I wish I would have done it, but I forgot to stick it on my wish list for Christmas, because I would probably be getting one.
Yeah, $119. This and right now it says may arrive after Christmas. So Tim, if you want it before Christmas, you need to do it right now. And maybe you still won't get it. But the DJI Osmo 2, the battery in that thing is like an 18-hour battery. It'll more than likely outlast your phone. It does have
yes, that's not a problem.
It has a cable that you can actually use it to help power your phone while you're doing this. So I never did that. I would just shoot, during the day and then
it drains
charge
that
it.
then.
Yeah, it does drain that, and then charge at night. It takes a little bit of getting used to and how to best use this. But man, I love this thing. If you're traveling, if you take a lot of video with your phone like that, and I even use it to do some photos, you can do that. It comes with if you have any DJI product, you may already have the app. You can use their app for some of it, or you can just use your in-camera app. So whether it's a iPhone or an Android, either one, it'll work with either one like that. I typically just used the Android app to do stuff like that. You can do hyperlapse and all that kind of stuff too. I use it. I set actually, because I have a tripod mount, I set it on my tripod when I was doing laying the grass down in my my backyard and did a time lapse. I just used this to kind of hold the thing, so it wasn't really used for all that. But there's a lot of stuff you can do there. I would highly recommend that if you're wanting anything like it.
Well, I am looking at it on eBay right now, and it sells for around $60 with a case used. So
Huh.
maybe I'm gonna get this. Let's watch this. Add to watch list. Because
Uh,
I have no shot of getting it as a Christmas present anymore. So
okay. All right. I got a couple more here in the mid-priced area, and then we'll move on. So I've talked about this before, so I won't spend a ton of time on it. And that is my current favorite bag. I love this bag, and that is the Think
think
Tank
tank.
Airport Essentials. It's not super large. It'll fit into, I think, just about all overhead compartments. Let's say most overhead compartments on planes if you're going to be traveling at all. I use it as my main bag whether I'm traveling or not. This is my main bag. It fits. If you like a backpack, this one's great. All the different ways to hold it, all the different pockets inside. It's just a great backpack. I ended up buying its big brother, so that for this one, I can't carry my two biggest lenses. I got to make a choice which one I want to bring. So if I want to bring both of my big lenses, which is going to be really heavy, I have this guy's big brother, and I'll take that. So sometimes when I'm shooting sports and I want both big lenses, I'll take the big brother. All the other times I'm using the Airport Essentials, this one right here. Great bag. And when I traveled to Alaska, I put all my gear in that I was bringing. I wasn't bringing my biggest lenses, but all my gear in there, a tablet and a rain jacket and stuff like that. And that's what I would walk around with. That was my main bag. And I checked it everywhere we went. Even kept like our passports and stuff in there too. So great camera bag. It is right at $200. I've become a Think Tank fan because of this bag. Bags are something that what I like, you may not like. It's very personalized.
Right.
I don't know if there is a perfect bag. So some people may not like a backpack. You want something else. Think Tank sells things other than backpacks. So go and take a look at what they have. All right. Last two up in the mid-priced range is if you don't have a tripod. I think I got this idea from our friend. I don't have the tripod here, so I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you online. But our friend Ali, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one.
Long time ago.
He's the one that we had on the show twice, and I met him in Juneau, Alaska when I was up there. He lives in Florida. I live in Georgia, and somehow we had about 2 hours of overlap in Juneau, Alaska when we were both going up there that we met. But anyway, he's the one that clued me in on the Enduro line of tripods. I bought this 3-section. This is a little bit different than the one I have. I bought this, and then I bought their ball head, which is the BHD2 ball head, as my lightweight setup. So I had, if you see behind me, no, you can't see it. I had the big, heavy Gitzo, no center column. It is really can hold up anything I have easily. It's super heavy. I had the Real Right Stuff RH55 or whatever that thing is, just the super heavy quality, really quality stuff. But it was so heavy I wasn't using it that often. So Ali's clued me in on this, and this actually has become my main tripod. Even my biggest lenses, it can hold them fairly well. If I'm going to be in adverse conditions and using my really big lenses, I probably will take the other one, but that's so rare for me that I use this one all the time. So this is the ball head I have attached to it, and the actual tripod is this. So it's not cheap. You're going to be spending $365 for the tripod and another $200 for the head. But in tripod world, that's more of a mid-price tripod.
Right.
All right. What kind of tripod do you use, Tim?
I have several, but probably my most recent one that I've been using is a Manfrotto, whatever it is. But yeah, I have so many different tripods. And I remember the first time I had taken one on vacation with me, and it was a huge one. And I was like, well, this is stupid. There's no way I'm carrying this with me. So I wound up getting so I probably have as many tripods and monopods as I do backpacks, which my wife complains about all the time. That's why I cannot get a Think Tank, because she'd be like, you have more than I have pocketbooks, which probably wouldn't be true, but I'm not going to argue with her.
Yeah, no, that's Julie, a losing proposition.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is the end of the low price stuff. So high price gear, I'm going to show you just a couple of things. And let's go to.
I don't understand. The first two of them are just specific brands. I mean, what?
Well,
where's
let's go to the first one, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking there. So obviously, I'm a Nikon guy, and in Nikon world and in other people's, Canon and everybody else, the 7200 is a mainstay. It is.
Yes.
If I looked through my Lightroom catalog, I would bet you that there's more images taken with my 7200 than any other single lens. And I wonder if I did a percentage, whether, it would be more than multiple lenses added up. The 7200 is one of my favorite lenses. And I'm talking about the 70-200 2.8.
Right.
I love that. So I'm showing you the Nikon one. These guys are not going to be cheap. You can find them refurbished and over at Adorama or B&H and some other places. So you may want to look at a refurbished one. But, Sony has one, Canon has one. I'm not really keep up with Olympus and Fuji, but I'm sure they have something like that. The 7200 is a great lens. It's not just, for sports or something like that. Jan mentioned Thomas Heaton early. I think Thomas Heaton uses the 7200 quite often as his landscape lens. Because not all landscape has to be with a wide angle lens, especially some of the stuff you're shooting. You may not be able to get close enough that you need a wide angle. Right. So 7200. Norman out in Facebook mentions Tamron. So I'm talking about the Nikon, Tamron, and Sigma. The quality of those lenses have gotten better from years ago. So there may be alternatives. So maybe you are a Canon shooter or a Sony shooter. You don't have to buy the brand. There's other things, other ones you can get there to lower that price a little bit. But at 70-200 2.8 is a great lens if you don't have it, and something that you should be shooting for to eventually get, whether you get the brand, a third-party system, or a refurbished one. Getting at full price is going to be expensive, but there's other options there.
Right.
Yep. So there you go. So glass is not cheap. Good glass is not cheap.
No, it isn't. And that's why people don't switch brands often.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's why I'm not going to be switching brands. So the next one up, there's other alternatives for this one too. I'm going to be showing you Nikon stuff because I'm a Nikon guy, but a longer zoom. And in this case, it's going to be a trade-off. So if you have the money, and money's not an option, a 400 millimeter 2.8, a 500 millimeter f4, 600 millimeter f4, you're gonna be spending $10,000 per lens or more,
and they're huge,
and they're massive.
Yeah.
So if you want to go that route, you're gonna have fantastic quality lenses there. If you look on the side of a football game, pro and probably college too, you'll see people standing on the sidelines with massive lenses, and those are gonna be one of those three I just mentioned: 400 2.8. 500 f4, 600 f4, massive lenses, cost tons of money, and are really good quality lenses.
But you're not going to go walking around on vacation with that lens.
You're not. But if let's say that you're into wildlife shooting and you're gonna then bring a tripod and do that kind of stuff.
You're going bird watching to take bird pictures. Yeah, that's the lens.
Yeah, those are lenses. But for somebody like me who's not going to spend $10,000 on a lens. Unless I win the lottery or something, I need something a little bit more down into my ballpark. So I'm showing a Nikon, but there are Sigma lenses out there. There's other Nikons. There's also Tamron too, and those are for other mounts too, not just the Nikon mount. But something that's going to give you a little more reach, like a 400 millimeter. In this case, it's Nikon's 200 to 500 millimeter. There are trade-offs because this is a $1,400 lens. And versus some of those $10,000 lenses, you're saying, why would I get the $10,000 if I can get this for $1,400? Well, this is going to be a 5.6 lens. Some of the other lenses, the Tamron, the Sigma, they may be a 5.6 to 6.3. So as you zoom out, they get less. So it's a trade-off, but for a much cheaper price, you're going to get some of that reach. being a 5.6 lens, this one's a steady 5.6. It is really a sharp lens, even wide open at 5.6. So you're not having to stop it down to get sharpness. But at 5.6, if you're shooting early morning, late afternoon, you're going to have to lower the shutter speed or increase the ISO. So there's some trade-off there. But I'm liking this lens so far. It's a really good quality lens. As far as how big it is, you've seen those people on the sidelines holding those big lenses, so you get an idea of how big they are. I got the lens right here. Hold on as I get it. And I'm going to show it next to the 70-200 so you get an idea.
Okay.
So this is the 70-200, the bottom one, and this is the 200-500.
That's huge.
It is huge, and they both have their lens hoods is reversed, so it'll be longer with that. But you can see the 200-500 is bigger than that 70-200. It is pretty big. So
and much thicker also.
Yeah, I'm going to use it on either a monopod or a tripod, or using that gimbal that I showed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is that. Look at I know Norman is getting into he's out there on Facebook. He's getting into bird photography, some wildlife photography. Look, and that I'm showing you a new one. You can probably buy these used or refurbished. You save some money there too. Yeah. Rachel Brinky is watching on Facebook. Hey, Rachel. Superwoman. Anyway, Norman, if, down the road, look at getting something like that. It'll really help with some of your bird photography. All right. Last item that we're going to show, and this is going to be a combo. Okay. We're going to do a combo, and that is over at Really Right Stuff. Right there. I talked about this earlier. This is the BH55 ball head. If you're going big, Norman, if you go out there and you buy yourself a 600 millimeter f4 and you go, I need something crazy sturdy.
You need something strong to hold it.
I need something sturdy to hold that guy up.
Yeah, if you're spending $10,000 on a lens, you're not putting
I'm out there in Wyoming or Montana, and I'm shooting, whatever I'm shooting out there. I'm in Alaska and I'm shooting bald eagles, and I want all this stuff. If you don't have any Really Right Stuff, you've never looked at Really Right Stuff, they have some incredible hardware. Not cheap. But,
no.
I like to buy their L brackets. So you buy, I got one right here. This is my old Nikon D2X. You see that L bracket right there? Mm-hmm. That way I can mount it on a tripod this way or turn it and mount it that way. So it's got the arc Swiss built into it. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how much these are, but this is a Really Right Stuff L bracket. I can probably drive nails with this thing. It is so strong. It is crazy strong. But the BH55 ball head is their top of the line ball head. It is really strong. There's some variants to this, whether you want the clamp or the twist, you can do something like that. Get that with, where's that tripod? That carbon fiber tripod that's over there. Copy link. For about anywhere from $800 to, over $1,000. So you're going to be spending $1,500, $1,600 on this tripod setup. It is a lot of money, and I really would only go this route if you've got some really big gear that you need to mount on it, because I think for the most of us with smaller lenses or lighter gear, you can get by with something a little cheaper that's going to be easier to carry around and save you a good bit of money. But if you need the support, if you're doing something like that, you may want to drop the center column, which these don't have a center column, I don't think. At least the first one doesn't, the one I was talking about. Drop the center column and get something super strong. Dropping the center column also helps you if you want to get super low. You probably can't see it, but I have one in the background. I have one of these carbon fiber ones. And I mean, it almost gets all the way down to the ground because there's no center column to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's my picks. Let me know if you buy any of these things, or if you already have some of these. Let me know if you buy any of these things. Before we head out, because we're already at the hour.
Wow, that was fast.
That was. I want to mention, no, I know Norman's getting into it. Maybe he's been into it a while, but I'm just seeing it, getting into wildlife photography. I love to find people that inspire me. I run into photographers all the time that are way better than me, way more talented than me. But I love to find people that inspire me and make me want to go out and try what they do. And I can use them as somewhat of a guide. So we call this, our featured photographer segment there, Tim. And some of these are people that the world already knows, and Mike just found out about them because I live in my shelter. And that's probably who we're going to talk about tonight. Somebody goes, yeah, everybody knows that person. Like when I discovered Thomas Heaton, and the rest of the world was, yeah, everybody already knows Thomas Heaton. But sometimes I come across people that maybe the average person doesn't know, and I'm introducing you to them. But tonight's one is Michelle Valberg. She is a Nikon ambassador, just so happens to be a Nikon ambassador, up in Canada. And she's a wildlife photographer, amongst other things. She takes some amazing wildlife. And if you're into wildlife...
Oh, that's a great shot.
Yeah. I mean, listen, look, she's been doing this a long time. She has top-of-the-line gear. She knows what she's doing. So if you're just getting into it, don't get discouraged when you look at your images and are not up to her caliber. We're also seeing just her best work. So I think it was Rachel, actually, that I heard this from. Don't compare your chapter 1 to her chapter 20. Being you're just starting out and she's already in chapter 20. Don't compare yourself there. But also you can look at her stuff and get some ideas. AD in our photo review show often talks about distractions in your photos. Look at her photos and how you definitely know who the subject here is in these photos. There's not a lot of stuff distracting you from the subject that's in this. Right. Now, these images we're looking at here are cropped just for her website. So, that's why they're so wide, but yet so skinny. But, go over to, some of her wildlife shots here. Michelle Valberg, you can just search for her. I have it in the show notes. And some of these images are just incredible. And obviously she's working hard to go out there and get these images in these remote locations. These are not zoo shots that she's taken. She's actually out there in the wild doing these. I'm just looking at the bear ones now, but she has, bear and all kind of different wildlife stuff. Some of these, she's braving not only the wildlife, but she's braving the elements too. To be out in this stuff. This is not, shorts weather for sure. And just gorgeous work. Again, me streaming it here, you only see a certain quality. But so go over to michellevalberg.com and check that out. And again, don't be discouraged by seeing her work being so fantastic, but it gives ideas. I look at it and it makes me realize, you really need to make sure that the subject is clear. And you see that in her images. You look at the images and there's not a lot of distractions there. Right? All right, Tim.
I have not heard of her before, so.
Good. So there you go. And Jan says I have not heard of her.
There you go. So
I know you're a Sony shooter, Tim. Don't let the fact she's a Nikon ambassador discourage you from going to check her out. If you're into wildlife, go check her out. If you're not, she just has great photos to begin with. She also does wildlife and other things. So go check her out. Just an awesome photographer that maybe someday we'll have her on the show. All right, Tim. So as we head out, personally for me, I don't do like New Year's resolutions. I think if there's something you want to do, just go do it. Don't wait to a certain date to say I'm going to wait till then I'm going to start. If your thing is I'm going to lose weight, which is what I'm always trying to do, I don't need to wait for New Year's to start it. I need to do it right away.
I need to wait for New Year's because I eat way too much between now and then.
But I do want to ask as we wrap this up, maybe not a New Year's resolution, but maybe goals or so, things you'd want to do in 2019. Let's keep it specific to maybe keep it in the narrow brand. Don't let's say I want to do better at my job.
No. I think definitely a goal of mine next year, and my wife and I talked about it because we do a calendar every year for the family with pictures, and my goal is to take more pictures, specifically of my kids together, because a lot of times I have a lot of them separate. So I need to, my goal is to specifically look for those moments for a calendar creating opportunity.
All right, very good. You know, I see a lot of people who, if you have a website, or maybe if you just do it on Facebook, they post, here's my favorites of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great, you know, that you do that. I don't know if I went back and looked at 2018, I would say, here's my favorites. So I want to be able to, at the end of 2019, say, here's my favorites for the year. So getting out there and shooting more. This podcast has gotten in the way of me shooting and just life in general. But hopefully the 52-week project we're going to start in the beginners group is going to be something to inspire me also to get out there. So that's
and me as well.
That's my goal, is to shoot more so that at the end of 2019, I can put together a list and maybe put it up on our website that here's Mike's favorite images that he took in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear what your goals are for 2019. Jan says she's only made one resolution, and that's to not make any resolutions. But if you have goals for 2019, you can say the semantics, but it's good to have goals. All right, whether in your personal life, in your work life, in your creative life, it's good to have goals. So I'd love to hear what you have for goals. Send me a note on Facebook. Send me an email at podcast@jpegdarrell.com. Love to hear what your goals are for 2019. And one of them, of course, is I got to get back into stepping more. If AD listens to this later, I've waited to the end, so maybe you won't hear it. He and I have been playing a game every freaking night, and it's cut into all my free time. And it's not his fault. I'm not going to say it's his fault. It's my choice to play because I'm liking it so much. But here are us two grown men. Hey, there's nothing wrong with grown men playing a game, but we're playing this game
Absolutely
every night.
Not.
But I've got to work in my steps again. If you're a Fitbit friend of mine, continue. I know there's several out there that continue to send me cheers, which is a passive way to say, Mike, I'm 40,000 steps ahead of you. Step it up. If you're not a Fitbit friend, but you're maybe have a Fitbit, or you get one for Christmas, look me up. If you can't find me, send me an email at podcast@jpegdarrell.com and say, hey, I can't find you, but I'd like to be a Fitbit friend. Let's be Fitbit friends and encourage each other in the new year. Except for Rachel, who, if she's still out there, I don't want to be a Fitbit friend of hers.
She's crushing it, huh?
She would crush me all the time, and I would have no hope of ever catching up.
Well, sadly, I switched over to the Galaxy smartwatch.
I know, you're out.
But I do have, hold on, wait, here it is in my pocket.
What do you got there?
I have my Fitbit Ionic, so I walk with both of them now.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have it there. So I'm trying to keep my Fitbit steps up when I remember it.
All right, good. So, if you remember it, yeah. So maybe we can continue to be Fitbit friends, and
yes,
when I get back into it. All right, guys. So that is going to be the end of this show and the end of 2018 for JPEG Darrell. We'll be coming back in 2019, and we'll not right away, but we'll start having some new guests and some repeat guests coming in 2019. As I mentioned, there's one more photo review show on the 30th, Sunday the 30th at 8 p.m. that AD and I will do. That'll be the November images, and then we'll be all set to do the December images in January. So I'll see you again on the 30th. Tim and I will see you again in January.
2019.
Yep. Until then, have a great holidays, and keep shooting raw. And a happy new year, and keep shooting raw.
Good night.
Good night.